Good morning, welcome back to the next session. We're going to start now with the clinical info for this fundamental diarrhea and med-eds training. As you can see, we started this morning from the Learning Center, the critical functions, and we've covered now our appointments and diarrhea administration. So now we're going to move over into the third option here, that's the clinical information. We went now and looked at how we booked a new patient, existing patient. We arrived those patients, we opened their files, we import from the medical aid, we validate. In other words, we extend, we cancel, we move our appointments, we look at walk-in patients as well, how to edit my patient's info, how to remember, how to make them active. And we looked at the theatre bookings as well. And we look at how to print your diary, the file cover sheet, the sidebar on the right hand side, your reminder SMSs and emails, your data docs, the waiting list, the waiting room, the colors of the diaries. Remember the colors, you can change that, and always the file cover sheet at the end of the day. It's a lot of functions from the diary. It's all in one place to do a lot of things. I do not need to jump around a lot in GoodX. The only thing that I just need to focus on later maybe is the corrections and receipts, and that we do from the med-eds side, medical letters. So I'm going to start with the clinical info. I foresee we're going to be busy here for about 15 minutes or so, and then I'm going to start after that with the billing, and then we're going to see if we're going to take a lunch break at 12:30, and depending on how far we are, take it from the rest of the sessions according to this flow of the process of these structures. So let's start again with the clinical info, or let's start with the clinical info. I'm going to switch over again to my training facility and my system, and from here I'm going to cover now the clinical information. Now we first already looked at my patient docs, so that's part of my clinical information. So the doctor comes from any time in the right hand bar, on the right hand side on the sidebar. So please make sure this sidebar is activated on your site. If it's not there, please contact your FCL. This is a very handy tool to access all your information. Because from this sidebar, you can see here the shortcuts, my clinical patient information, my patient docs. So already I can access all that information from here. Again, if I right click, I've got also here my data documents, and also here clinical patient information, Control F12 or Control D for the documents. So that's my shortcuts from the diary to get to my patient's clinical information. Now, if you look at the actual learning center, you will see here, we cover here how to access your patient clinical information that I've just shown you now. And then we're going to look at the allergies and the chronic conditions, and then we're going to look at how the doctor can make clinical notes electronically on the system. We're going to look then at how I import or upload my clinical, or I generate clinical reports for other doctors. Then I look at my history then in that sense, and then I look at my deleted allergies, so that's just a quick view of those. Patient documents, that's very important. And then yes, I can do a very basic script function out of GoodX. And the doc man is the same for me as what you've seen now with the patient documents. There's just two functionalities about this. Just depending on how you want to use it. Nowadays the doc manager is basically overtaking all my functionalities anyway. But let's show you what we mean by that. So how do I access my patient information? So the moment Mr. de Klerk has been booked, I can immediately go to the right hand side to patient documents to upload any of his documentation that was scanned. And again, I clicked on that little file there next to the camera, and I uploaded his scanned ID, membership cards, or any other clinical information can be uploaded in this sense and saved here on his list of documents. Same principle, I can right click here and go to that data documents, and the same principle, open up that screen. For the doctor side, he wants to get to the clinical side to make clinical notes and load the allergies and look at the chronic conditions. And this I can do by clicking on the clinic patient information, Control F12, or the long way here, and that is also right click clinical patient information. At any time also, if I go to my med-eds, remember the med-eds is to open up also any files, change any files, edit files, billing, receipts, claims, all those major functions will be on this side on the med-eds. Under my admittance, it's the same as you get if you press the F9 from the diary, and here also right click and I will go to my data document, or I right click on the patient and I go to my patient clinical info, or to that document manager in that principle. Okay, so from the diary again, I'm standing on the cloud and I'm going to click on clinical patient information. It will first open up. The screen here will show patient Mr. Pierre de Klerk, language, head and part, and this is my file. There's a few buttons, I will explain those, and then there's a few tabs that I can click on. So this is the ones I quickly want to go through. Like I said, it's a very basic clinical functionality in the base and the desktop app of GoodX. If you want more advanced clinical functionalities, please look at our web application. We cater specifically more in detail for our clinical information there. So now clinical info, this is what I will load: my active allergies in red, my chronic conditions and medicines in blue, and then my natural substances here in the bottom in green. So yes, if I'm dispensing, it would be nice if I can do this, because I can here mark penicillin and is allergic to diclofenac, for instance. So then we know when we do dispensing in GoodX, or generating scripts, the system will warn you that a patient is allergic to these ingredients. In that sense, chronic conditions or chronic meds, chronic conditions. The idea is to put in here hypertension, for instance, and then I can select my hypertension secondary or primary pulmonary hypertension, and depending on what you need, essential primary hypertension, selected, okay, and again you can specify a note to that. So now my hypertension is loaded, and any other chronic medication is currently on. You can search from here and add it to that list. For instance, this patient is currently using just a very simple Panado for his medication, and I add that. So now I can see it's essential hypertension and the medication is currently using for that chronic condition. And then I can add these natural substances that is also allergic to gluten, and I can add that to the list. Also, only with these natural substances you can add your own custom codes or custom items. For instance, like look at file. If there's too much allergies and you do not want to do this in more detail, just put in then the options, just look at file, and then the nurse and the doctor will know, look at the patient's file, there is very specific allergies involved. So just press on the necessary buttons and load them as necessary, and as you can see there are codes or fields where you can put in additional notes that will explain the allergies or conditions more in detail. So once that is loaded, then I can go to my clinical notes, and here doctor can now make the note, patient is very allergic. You can put in your script details of what you've done in the patient, what you explain to the patient, what medication you suggest the patient must take, and so forth and so forth. And here you can type in all the information required for your clinical notes. Then you can just save that note, and next week when the patient comes in again, you can look at that history and start a new note again from that sense. Again, like I said, any results for the patient can be also uploaded into his file. It's through the document manager, or now I can here go to patient docs, as I can see there, and it will actually open up general file, a referral letter file, a sick notes file, or x-ray file, and I can actually copy and paste, go to your email, go to your desktop, your My Documents, copy the document, and literally come and paste it in the folder. Right click, paste, copy, paste, as simple as that. Just minimize your connection, copy your information, go back to your GoodX, and right click and paste it in one of those folders. So that's how you can upload any of that specific information. New notebook view is just a different view. If you maybe make your note here on the right hand side, it's just a different way of looking at it all together in one place. Otherwise, just switch to the alt note view depending on which one you prefer. So that's typically what my doctor will use to start with, is maybe allergies and chronic conditions with the medications, so these natural substances allergies, and then also the clinical notes, and then the patient docs on that little folder there at the top. This is what my doctor will use 9% of the time, depending on what you do and what your requirements will be. Then there is clinical reports. From here, I can actually add clinical reports to different doctors. So I can address this report to a referral doctor, Dr. Maledi. And I can say, okay, well, preferred method of delivery is via email. And then I can say concerning patient's knee. Or you can put in ICD-10, referral ICD-10 codes. And there you can put in your ICD-10 coding that's concerning this. And here you can put, but I'm the doctor involved in this, who's Dr. B, and any other references to this. And here I can type my whole letter to this doctor. And I can save the note, and the idea was here that I can also put in auto text. So here we can make provision for your side room checks, in other words, so temperatures, BMIs. We can load certain tick boxes and radio buttons to help you maybe quickly load certain information here. And the idea was then to merge it with your template, your letterhead, and then save it to the doctor, and then send it to the doctor via email. So I can save that note. So there's my note or information, and at any time I can just come in and edit again and send it again to Dr. Malefe. Or you can even use this to make your own notes or own reports, depending on the information that you require from there. Okay, so that's by just generating report. If you use estimates, your estimates will show here. History, you will see this as we work with the patient. Here will all be the billing of the medication and codes, and all that will be showing here as it's going on, and we will show a deleted screen if someone deleted some of the allergies on this patient. So what is important here for me is to make sure, how did I get to this? So from the diary, the doctor will click here on clinical patient information, or right click and say clinic patient information. If you use the MedEps, right click on the patient clinical info. So once you click on that, it should open up the next screen, and it says here clinical patient information. Immediately start with your clinical information and do your clinical notes, and go to your patient docs to upload any letters, sick notes, scripts, anything that was sent to you via email or you have generated yourself as a doctor. Scan it in, mail it to yourself, or let reception send it to you, and then add it to these folders. And so you can start going to the principle of a paperless file where all my patient's information is on here. And obviously this is cloud-based in GoodX, so backups is not a problem. It will be included. But at the moment you are a doctor that works with a lot of clinical documentations, please remember the cloud do have limited space, and you need to request additional space, especially if you want to work with big images or something like that. But please contact us for more details on that in the future. So from here, that's all my clinical information. Please make sure that you understand how to get to my patient docs, and how to add my clinical notes, how to load my allergies and all my chronic conditions with medication. Because as a doctor, it's very important, if a patient walks in, the first thing I want to see is what medication is this patient on. So I can just quickly go to clinical patient information, and immediately I can just look at my chronic conditions, and I will see that my patient, let's just make sure I get my right patient. Where is declared patient information? Yes. And immediately I can see, okay, so now he's essential hypertension and he's using Panado currently for that. And now from here I know how to deal with my patient. Just make your clinical notes. Everything you do, please put it onto your clinical notes. And only you as a doctor can have access to these clinical notes, and we can block other personnel in the practice to do not have information to this. If I want to upload documents or photos or x-rays or scans or something like that, you're more than welcome to use the patient documents for that. Or if you go from the beginning, from the diary, if you click on that, go to patient documents, this is a more secure function for this. It's protected and encrypted for that reasons, and here I can upload any of those sensitive information as well. If there's any questions on this clinical notes, please let us know. I'm going to close this section then, and so we're going to take a break, and most probably going to start at 11:45 with our billing, and see how far we get with that before lunch. And then after lunch, we're probably going on with billing corrections, if not in the same session. and then after lunch we most probably will start with the claims. So if there's any other questions, please let us know in the live chat, and I will see you then soon.